I'm Luna. Welcome to the Lunarium. If you've been on Twitter over the weekend, which, by the way, you should never be on Twitter, it's definitely not good for your health, but if you are, you should follow me. Apparently, Sia has been trending all weekend, and it's because there has been backlash after she announced the trailer for her movie Music. So today we're going to talk about why so many members of the autistic community have a problem with Sia's film. Now, I want to start this by saying that I am not autistic, and I am not trying to speak for the autistic community. I'm not even sure that I get to say I'm a member of the disabled community. I consider my psychiatric conditions to be a disability. The government considers my psychiatric conditions to be a disability, but I have been told by physically disabled people that psychiatric conditions don't count. So I'm not even sure that I should be talking about this as a member of the disability community. That being said, I think that there's a lot that everyone can learn about what Sia did wrong, both in how she created this film and how she responded to criticism. When I talk about many of the criticisms that people are having against Sia, I'm going to draw from people's tweets who describe themselves as autistic or part of the disabled community. So who is Sia? I'm sure most of you don't need me to answer that question. I'm not always in the know about who the big names are in music. The only reason I've ever heard of Sia is because she had a bit part in the My Little Pony movie. I mean, some other movie that I'm a fan of, because I definitely don't watch My Little Pony. Right, so Sia's a pop musician, and she has been pretty open, both about her sexuality, she identifies as queer, and also the fact that she has EDS, or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Some people have praised Sia for being open about her membership in both the queer community and the disability community, and have seen her as an advocate for marginalized groups. Unfortunately, being part of a community doesn't mean that you still can't insult or hurt members of your own community. Sia's movie focuses on a nonverbal autistic girl, and she cast as the main character Maddie Ziegler, who apparently was on Dance Moms and has been featured in some of Sia's music videos. I don't know if it's obvious that I'm really not up to date on all pop culture things, so I apologize if you all know who Maddie Ziegler is. Sia announced the release of the trailer for Music on Twitter on Thursday. Pretty soon after Sia tweeted that the moment you've all been waiting for, the trailer has been released, someone on Twitter, whose name I am not going to try to pronounce because I know I will get it wrong, but it's on the screen, said, "Hi Sia, can I ask why you didn't cast a disabled actor for this part? It's pretty offensive the way you've chosen to portray this character. People with disabilities are not broken and don't need fixing." To which Sia responded, "I agree. I've never referred to Music as disabled. Special abilities is what I've always said, and casting someone at her level of functioning was cruel, not kind. So I made the executive decision that we would do our best to lovingly represent the community." To which Twitter user Amy Mason tweeted, "Did you do any research or consult the community at all? It's very condescending to say it would be cruel to consult a disabled actor." And Sia responded to that by saying, "Duh. I spent 3 fucking years researching. I think that's why I'm so fucking bummed." And all right, just in the first day of people pointing out problems Sia is already responding in a completely inappropriate way. I do understand that if you've put a lot of time and effort and probably money into a project, why you would be really disappointed that it isn't received well. But it feels really, her responses just seem really petulant and kind of entitled, like she did all this work so she deserves praise, but that's not really how this works. As another Twitter user, Leah Modell, points out, Hollywood strikes again with another film where non-disabled actors play disabled roles. Having a neurotypical play an autistic person is offensive enough. Rolling this trailer out at the start of Disability History Month is a kick in the bloody teeth. No captions either. Yeah, apparently when the trailer was first released, they didn't even make it captioned. I have a really hard time understanding how anyone is putting out videos without captions. It's just common decency to try to make your content as accessible as possible, particularly when you are trying to tell the story of a disabled person. In response to the fact that people were criticizing Sia's choice to cast an allistic person, that means not autistic, for an autistic role, Sia said, I actually tried working with a beautiful young girl, nonverbal on the spectrum, and she found it unpleasant and stressful. So that's why I cast Maddie. But there's an interview where Sia said that she wrote a movie for Maddie Ziegler.
I've actually written a movie for her, so she's done with the music videos. So she's trilogy. She was part of a trilogy. Sure. So now we're moving on to, I don't know what next. I haven't just really decided.
You've written a movie script.
Yes.
Even if Sia did try casting an autistic person for the role of music, and they found the position overwhelming, I think Twitter user Hayek Smith made a really good point when he said, then change the fucking environment. Change the work model so it can accommodate a person's style of working. Why is this so difficult for ableds to get? Right. You probably are doing something wrong if your lead actor is being distressed by your working environment. I've also seen reports that the movie needed to be filmed really quickly, and that's part of why Sia thought it was best to go with an allistic actor who she had a healthy working relationship with. But I'm not sure I fully understand why the movie needed to be filmed really quickly. I know that Kate Hudson and Leslie Odom Jr. are involved in the project, so big names who probably have very busy schedules, but couldn't you film in chunks or use different actors, or I don't know. These all feel like excuses. When more members of the autistic community came out criticizing the fact that an allistic person is playing an autistic role, Sia said, I cast 13 neurotypical people, 3 trans folk, and not as fucking prostitutes or drug addicts, but as doctors, nurses, and singers. Fucking sad nobody's even seen the dang movie. My heart has always been in the right place. And this is just gross. It doesn't really matter that other disabled people are in your film. I really don't know why you're bringing up trans people, because they have nothing to do with this, except like you're trying to score points for including actors who are part of other minority groups. I don't know, that one feels really weird. Not to mention that this throws sex workers and people who struggle with addictions under the bus. Twitter user Dread Pirate Jean said, well, as an autistic sex worker, I've got to say that this is pretty gross right here. Yeah, Sia. Yeah, it feels pretty gross. Sia tried to defend her good intentions by saying, the movie is both a love letter to caregivers and to the autism community. I have my own unique view of the community and felt it is underrepresented and compelled to make it. If that makes me a shit, I'm a shit, but my intentions are awesome. I don't know that I would ever say the phrase, my intentions were awesome. I have pretty low self-esteem, so maybe this is just me. But saying my intentions were awesome is kind of self-congratulatory. Seems a little smug. Especially in the face of being told that you've been ableist. Apparently, Sia cast the movie based on putting tweets out, which I'm not sure is really how you should be casting a movie. But anyway, Twitter user Helen Z said, several autistic actors, myself included, responded to these tweets. We all said we could have acted in it on short notice. These excuses are just that, excuses. The fact of the matter is zero effort was made to include anyone who was actually autistic. Hashtag nothing about us without us. To which Sia responded, maybe you're just a bad actor. And you know what, Sia? Fuck you. Things only got worse from there. Sia released another tweet where she said, grr, fuckity fuck, why don't you watch my film before you judge it? Fury. Which is just not how adults should conduct themselves on Twitter. Twitter user Laura Writes It said, so we should give you money in order to criticize the same bigoted casting practices we've been criticizing for years? No thanks. Also, do you see how many autistic people are speaking out about this? If the community you're trying to represent is the one that's the angriest about that representation, you might want to listen. Sia pointed out that her movie is supported by groups like Autism Speaks. I think in an attempt to show that her movie was great for the autistic community. But unfortunately, this was absolutely the worst group that Sia could have used as proof that she had listened to autistic people. Because this controversy made Autism Speaks trend, Twitter user Gray is True said, Autism Speaks is trending again, so here's a reminder, Autism Speaks is a hate group that funnels money and efforts away from autistic care and accesses and is thusly responsible for the death and suffering of countless autistic people. Stop giving money to Autism Speaks. Sia then somehow managed to make the situation even worse for herself when she responded to the criticism about Autism Speaks by saying, Autism Speaks came on board long after the film was finished, 4 years in fact. I had no idea it was such a polarizing group. Except that's a lie. There are tweets from, I am guessing this is American dates, so April, where Twitter user X, he's a cat X, said, Sia, I love you, but Autism Speaks is a horrible, horrible thing that does not show or represent kindness for autistic people like me. They are known to fearmonger and spread false, harmful information and stigma. Please don't give them a voice. To which Sia responded that same day, oh shit. She knew, which to me shows that she honestly didn't care about how the autistic community felt about her film or not. I want to be fair by pointing out that there were Twitter users who described themselves as autistic and who came to Sia's defense. Twitter user John Drew Markley said, I'm autistic and have no problems with casting a neurotypical actress. Some autistic people agree with me. Some disagree with me. The, quote, autistic community isn't angry. We are individual human beings, not some hive with a single voice and opinion. It does really seem, though, that autistic supporters of Sia were very much outnumbered by the autistic people criticizing Sia. Also, some caregivers of autistic people came to Sia's defense, like Twitter user Priscilla Sita. I haven't seen it. My 16-year-old son is autistic. I don't mind if you don't cast an actual actor with autism. It's called acting, playing a character that is possibly different from your actual self and playing different roles. To which I, bless the reins down in Castamere, said, yeah, you're an autism mom TM, which is precisely the kind of person we do not appreciate speaking for us. This defense, that it shouldn't matter who plays a character because it's all acting, and acting is about pretending to be someone you're not, was at the heart of a lot of people's defenses. In fact, some people pointed to other works that have been critically acclaimed where allistic people played neurodivergent people. This one Twitter user said, why are people slamming her? Did they forget about Forrest Gump? Leo DiCaprio playing Arnie in Weg? That Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kid is literally playing an autistic doctor right now. Cancel culture is so selective, it needs a word bigger than hypocrisy. LX Ziana responded, or maybe if you bothered to do even an ounce of research or take 2 seconds to listen to the disabled community, you would have seen that we have spoken out about all of this. The problem is people ignore us or speak over us, as per usual. There's a lot of danger in just dismissing any criticism as cancel culture. People aren't canceling Sia. I didn't see anyone saying, I will not be supporting Sia's music. I will not be spending money on her. I think she shouldn't have a career. I think she shouldn't have a platform. No one should ever listen or take her seriously again. Which is what people are normally referring to when they talk about someone being canceled. I saw people saying, I won't be spending money on this film. I saw people saying this film shouldn't have been made. I don't support this movie. But that's not about being canceled. It's you made a bad choice. People are free to not want to engage with something that you create. You're not entitled to have people go and see a movie you made. That's absurd. Also, I really don't think people want to start going down the rabbit hole of like, this was considered okay 20 years ago. Mickey Rooney played the Asian neighbor in Breakfast at Tiffany's, and no one would find that an acceptable choice now. But he was critically acclaimed at the time. These are like exactly the same kind of arguments that get made about cis actors playing trans characters. To anyone who thinks that these are valid points, I just want to point out that it is really difficult for disabled actors to be hired for major roles. Just like it's really difficult for trans actors to get hired for major roles. If we lived in an alternate dimension where there was no ableism or transphobia, and studios were completely fine with considering disabled actors for non-disabled roles or trans actors for cis roles, it would be fine, maybe. I don't get to say. Maybe that would be okay. But that's not the world where we live in. I think I'm not saying this as eloquently as Twitter user Adelaide the Dread Captain said, the best trans representation comes from trans actors. The best autistic representation comes from autistic actors and writers, especially considering the challenges they might face to land roles due to ableism. The role they're best suited to play goes to some allistic, just nope. Autistic people are really looking forward to representation in media, which in general is not good at all. Most of what we get is disheartening to watch. Sia could have used this movie as an opportunity to change things in the industry, show that it's possible to make film sets accommodating of the needs of neurodivergent or autistic actors, provide an actor who normally would not be given roles by major studios a starring role in a film with an almost guaranteed fan base because of her music. And instead, she made a lot of really poor choices. Hello, little cat. Isn't that right, Tonks? Yes, yes.
Lighting change! As I'm sure you can tell, it's the next day. As an holistic person, there's only so much that I get to say on this topic. So I thought I would call my best friend, Annie. Hi, Annie.
Hi!
How's it going?
It's 2020.
Yep, indeed. I should probably stop asking anyone that question. Why don't you introduce yourself to the viewers at home?
Well, like Luna said, I'm Annie. I am a queer autistic musician. You've definitely heard some of my music if you're watching this channel.
So I asked you to watch the preview for Sia's movie. What did you think?
It's bad. It's bad. It's like inspiration porn with none of the good parts, which even those good parts are very minimal, which are representation kind of, but in a very patronizing way. Yeah. No, it's not good. The character felt like a caricature of autistic people. The only kind of good thing is that they had the character using a tool that's designed for nonverbal autistic people to communicate. But that really just proves everyone's point that they could have had a nonverbal autistic person play the character.
Yeah.
It didn't sit right with me for multiple reasons, including that not only was the character a caricature, which, to be fair, I haven't had much experience with nonverbal people, but the facial expression she was holding the entire time looked like they were trying to make her look autistic. A lot of autistic people have trouble doing proper facial expressions, but we don't contort our faces in unnatural ways.
And what are your thoughts on how Sia has reacted to criticism from the autistic community?
It's bad. It's really bad. If you fuck up, you acknowledge that you fucked up and work to fix that. And like her whole thing about Autism Speaks, checking off on it, like Autism Speaks is not a good organization in any way. Have no autistic people anywhere in their management. The YouTube channel Illuminati, Two Eyes at Either End, has been doing a really good job of talking about all the problems with Autism Speaks. So highly recommend checking out her stuff. She's holistic, but she's consulted with autistic people on all of the videos.
That's a good transition to my next question, which is, like, what can people do to make sure a situation like this doesn't happen again? Like, what can we all learn and do better from after this debacle?
Well, listen to autistic people. Look at the hashtag actually autistic. It's full of people talking about it. And if you have questions, use that hashtag. That's part of why it's there, is so that because autistic people who are willing to answer questions will check that hashtag for questions. Support autistic artists. I've got a lot of music for sale. Like that would be great. I could use that money. Don't support creators who refuse to center the voices of the marginalized people they're claiming to represent. It's one thing to use your platform to repeat what you've been told by marginalized communities, what people can do. It's a whole other thing to claim you're representing a marginalized community while not having a person from that marginalized community. Like, there's a whole nothing about us without us. Like, that's it.
Right. That's a hashtag too, right?
Yeah, it's a hashtag and slogan.
So obviously, ideally, people wouldn't give money to support this film. And also, there is a problem in general with people writing stories for disenfranchised people.
You can write characters who are parts of marginalized communities that you are not part of. But you cannot write a story focused on the struggles of that community if you are not part of it.
At the very least, don't.
Or at the very least, consult people who are part of that community, and pay them for it.
Yeah, I saw someone pointing out that it didn't seem as if Sia was planning on donating the profit of this movie to organizations that help autistic people.
She should ideally not be doing this. But if she really has to, she should be giving every single cent that she makes from it to an organization that supports autistic people. Just want to emphasize that. She should not be making money from this.
Okay, Annie, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about all of this. Do you have anything you want to plug?
I am on Bandcamp, anmec.bandcamp.com, where I have all of my music, and there are links to my other social media on there and my merch store. I'm on YouTube. I'll probably be one of the first comments, so look for that. And I sometimes play games on Twitch, which link for that is in my Bandcamp. Yeah, that's it really. Working on some music.
Yeah, you should definitely check out her music. It's awesome. Thank you so much, Annie.
Of course. I'm glad to be here. That sounded awkward. Keep that in.
Okay, everyone. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and also let me know what you thought. I'd really love to hear your feedback. Let me know what your thoughts are on this whole Sia debacle.
I was looking for that word.
You ruined my outro!
Keep it. It's funny.
Please take care of yourselves. Until next time.